You good? So you need some Dayquil.
Yeah,
I'm
that
sick.
damn it. Yeah, that fall asleep in that damn airplane.
Air condition.
Yeah.
We live.
Yes,
You too.
Sirski.
What's happening?
Let's get to it.
Another marvelous Market Mondays. Live from New York City. The sun is out clearly.
Two, what up? What's going on? What's going on? It is the 1st of May, the first day of a new month.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. Happy birthday to all the Tauruses out there.
Yes.
It is a new month. It was pouring all weekend here in New York. Torrential. We got some sun today.
Thank God.
The sun is always shining.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stars, but only
there's
one
only,
sun.
yo, there's only one sun, man.
I was talking about talk. We're gonna get to it at the end.
You gotta wait till that sunset to see the rest of us.
That's a fact, man. Sunshine plays a major part in the daytime.
Fact.
Another glorious Monday. The show must go on. We got a lot to talk about today. This is live. For anybody that's in the chat that has questions, this is live. We got
from New
Ian
York.
Dunlap in the building.
Had to show up.
Ian is in the flesh.
Yes.
This is not AI generated hologram.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Coming soon.
Keyword is yet.
Keyword yet.
Yeah.
This is real. This is real. So we're gonna get to it. I don't want to waste too much time. Just make a couple quick announcements. Big week for us. Earn your leisure. Shout out to my guy Andre from Chicago. He's put out a dope episode. We putting out tomorrow about NACA. Real estate. Back to the basics for us. That's how we started as far as the blueprint of practical situations that people can use. NACA is a real estate program that allows you to put no money down, no closing costs. And he has championed that program. So he just kind of walked you through the ins and outs of NACA. So that's provided by the bank. And once again, this is a program that a lot of people aren't really even aware of, but it's great, especially for first-time home buyers, people that are struggling to buy a home. One of the biggest issues is not having enough money to put down for a down payment. So NACA allows you to buy a home without a down payment. There are a lot of stipulations involved. That's why we have the episode. So we'll go through every one of them to kind of show you best practices on how to, best utilize the system. So, that's going to be a good one. Shout out to Dre. And he's a good dude too. So shout out to him. Tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to it. And this week we will be in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes.
For the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
So shout out to everybody in Louisville. I might need a barber out there. So if you know any barbers, hit me up or hit AB up on Instagram and let us know what's the best barber in Louisville, Kentucky.
You're doing your Tupac or Biggie vibes when you look.
Oh man, the drip will be out.
I want to know why I was not invited to the Met Gala. We'll talk about that later on.
This is a fact. It's happening today. Shout out to everybody that is at the Met Gala. Shout out to all those people. And shout out to Black Enterprise.
Yes.
Thank you
for the cover look. That was greatly appreciated. A nice look. Shout out to Selena Hill for the write-up. And shout out to Ty, our boy Ty, for the photo shoot. It was a good time. It was a fun time. And shout out to Mike, Bogart, our stylist, Mike Barnett, who put together the threads for that look. Man, Mike is a legend. So Mike is curating some stuff for the Kentucky Derby as well. And so, the drip journey continues.
Can you tell them how long that's going to work on? Then I'll say it because they won't say it because they're nice, right? Do not be jealous of success you did not work for. When everyone has a win. So when I saw people coming up and I didn't have things together, I applauded them on their journey. And then when it became my turn, they applauded me. So I want to applaud y'all for dope cover, dope interview.
Appreciate that.
I was seeing some little commentary online. I'm learning that. I'm like, if y'all mad over a cover, a Black Enterprise, what y'all gonna do? We get on Forbes.
Shout out to Bloomberg.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Market Mondays World Tour continues.
Yes.
Next stop is London.
London town.
London. Get your tickets now. June 18th. Only a few tickets left. That's going to be a very dope show. Summertime London. Looking forward to it. Heading back out there. Probably my favorite city right now in the world. So shout out to London. We will be on our way. So get your tickets now. Get your tickets, everybody in the UK and everybody in America.
Yes.
Get your tickets to London. Let's make this a vibe. And the last thing I'll say is, before I forget, my brother 19 Keys hit me up. Shout out to 19 Keys.
Yeah.
He asked me to do something for him. He's having a show at the Apollo, I believe on Saturday. So he wants to give a
May 4th.
May 4th.
May
Birthday,
4th.
Yeah.
May 4th.
May 4th.
What day is that?
I believe that is Thursday.
Thursday.
His birthday.
So he wants to give away 10 tickets. So 10 lucky people he wants to give away tickets to. So you could just email High Level Media LLC. High, but level is LVL. High LVL Media LLC at gmail.com. Email your name. And yeah, I think that's probably all you need. Email your name and your email address.
That's amazing.
And he's giving a 10-ticket giveaway before his show. So unfortunately, we won't be able to make it because we will be in Kentucky. But everybody in New York City, come out, support my brother 19 Keys, man. Congratulations to him for doing a show at the Apollo.
Absolutely.
Amazing, accomplishment. And kudos to him and his whole team.
Yeah.
So if you're in New York, definitely support the bro. I'm sure he's going to put on a great show. I know he got a lot of surprises. So and looking forward to seeing the recap on Instagram.
Yeah, we got a little bit of inside look of what the show's going to look like. And I am highly disappointed that we will not be there. But the High Level Tour will be going through a bunch of cities, and we will be in a couple of cities. I know you're going to be on one of the dates. We'll be on one of the dates. So if you're in New York, if you're in New Jersey, Connecticut, make sure you pull up to the Apollo. And it's our brother's birthday, man. It's his birthday. Right. So what other better way to celebrate his birthday but with him in New York City on the 4th, man? Go support that. Go get your tickets. Stop playing.
Yeah, we will be at the Kentucky Derby for sure. So if you're in Louisville, show us some love. Show us some love, man. And the last thing that I'll say before we get the show on the road is Invest Fest back bigger than ever. We broke the news last week that Diddy will be one of the keynote speakers. He will be giving an address. We actually will be doing a conversation with him, sit-down conversation, highly anticipated. A lot to talk about.
Yeah, you saw what he did tonight?
Yeah, Sean John.
Yeah.
That's one of the things to talk about.
Nostalgia.
But yeah, every question will be asked.
Oh wow.
Nothing's off limits.
Nothing is off limits.
And I think he wants it that way.
No, for sure.
Yeah, he wants it that way.
Every question will be asked. And like I said, along with a variety of other, brightest minds in the world. Of course, Ian Dunlap will be in the building, 19 Keys, Robert Smith, Rich Paul, Ray Lewis, Al Harrington, Ronnie Brown, Ari, Jada, Jeezy, Ja Rule performing. Oh, man, it's going to be a vibe, man.
JD, shout out to JD.
Jermaine Dupri. We got Diddy and Jermaine Dupri before verses.
Before the verses.
Before the verse. That's a fact.
Before the verses. History only. So get your tickets now. See you in Atlanta at the end of the summer.
More bombs to come.
Oh, a lot more. Troy.
Troy just told me one right now. I was like, bruh.
Easy. Yeah. More bombs on the way. All right, y'all know how this works. Do your own research. So shout out to everybody that's been doing their own research. Y'all know how this goes, man. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment decision based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Please do the research, and when you find good research, share it. And if you got it from somebody, let them know that too, man. Give them credit. And that's how we build community. And the community is building. We see it everywhere we go. The community is building. Shout out to y'all.
That's a fact. Ian, any announcements you would like to make?
Yeah, Stock Club call will be on Wednesday at 9:30 Central. Shout out to my Red Panda family. Let me get some pandas in chat. Get your tickets to Market Mondays live in London.
Yeah.
I will give you a trading plan for how to trade the London session.
Yeah.
5 most important indicators when trading or investing. The top 10 sites for research, the top 10 lessons you want to learn if you want to learn how to be profitably consistently. And I'm going to give you some new targets to use in this new crazy market so you can consistently win when you're trading. So get your tickets now. There's going to be a hell of a show. And I'm going to put it up on screen, the link for y'all to join Sniper at the show. So get your tickets now.
Wow. Peacock Theater. We will be there June 18th.
Let's go.
There you have it.
So you tapped in.
So let's get into this. Let's get into it. So let's start with Intel. shall we?
Yes.
So after recording their worst quarterly loss, is it time to call Intel officially dead, or do we think they can make a comeback? Intel, chip giant, it's one of the first chip
Yes.
companies, right? We talk about chips a lot. We talk about, the ETF, SMH. We talk about Taiwan Semiconductor, AMD, but Intel's like the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, prevalent in the 80s and 90s. Not as prevalent in the 2000s. I guess could we call it a dinosaur in the space?
Yes,
is that
it
safe
is.
to say?
Yes.
A
Fossil
dinosaur?
fuel. Yes. I don't want to say that they're dead, but I will go on record stating that Intel will never be number 1 or number 2 again. The high of Intel, let me make sure I'm correct. Okay, the high was 75.83 back in 2000. So when Nelly had the Band-Aid on, screaming down, down, baby, Yo Street in the Range Rover, that was the last time they hit their all-time high. And because of mismanagement, and I think that it's still a great company, but it's not a great publicly traded stock. Like and I've been screaming this for a year. It got to $24.50 back on October 10th of last year. The highest it's got to is $34. So if you barely have a 10-15% increase in a couple quarters, it's not going well. Now you have NVIDIA, new kid on the block, doing amazing. AMD is doing amazing. Taiwan is like a national treasure there, and also means a lot to us. They're not even in the top 4. I would definitely let them go. We'll talk about First Republic later, but the big rule, please write this in chat, that I want you to follow. If they are not top 2 in their sector, I will not touch them.
Yeah, they remind me of IBM.
Yep.
I think that would be the fair comparison.
Treacherous twins.
They remind me of that in a sense where they were great at a certain period of time that predates this generation, but they were big in enterprise, right? In enterprise computing, enterprise software. But there's a new generation now with computing as far as graphic cards, as far as AI, and they're not leading that race. I'm not even sure how they even can catch up to the leaders in that space now. And I feel like being that they were so far ahead at a certain point, they should have seen these things coming. But sometimes you get so comfortable when you're in that space or you're in the top space and you're thinking like, hey, how do we adapt to the change of technology? I don't think they've done a great. I mean, like them and IBM are very comparable in the sense that they have large enterprise clients and products that they sell to them, but have they adapted to the times? Have they adapted with technology at the rate that it's moving, right? Even like you mentioned NVIDIA, we were talking about AI, and we always bring them up because they've been leading, especially in the chat GPT space. But like we were talking about hallucinations in chat GPT and how that was causing errors. 3 weeks later, NVIDIA has a chip that says, all right, well, we're going to correct that.
Absolutely.
They're adapting instant innovation. They're adapting in real time to technology, to the needs of the people. Intel, they just haven't done it.
Even if you look at their previous high from 2000, they were at 44.63. It took them from 1999 to 2017 to get back to that previous high. So if you never got a pay raise for 17 years, would you stay at that company? No. So I don't know why there's such fanfare around Intel. They'll never be in that top 2 space, in that leadership space ever again.
So all right. So you said something. You said only invest in the top 2 companies in the space.
Yes.
So who's the top 2 companies in the chip space? Because you have AMD, you have Taiwan Semiconductor, and you have NVIDIA. So who's the top 2?
My 2 favorite are NVIDIA and AMD. If Taiwan didn't have the geopolitical issues, they would be number 1 and NVIDIA would be number 2. But I can't invest in something if I think that they're going to get raided and potentially taken over. So by default, AMD would be number 2. And then, of course, like Apple is also making their own chips and stuff like that. Like Intel and IBM have some tough competition that they will not be able to beat. NVIDIA and AMD are my favorite 2, hands down.
NVIDIA, AMD, I think Qualcomm is in that space.
Yeah.
Texas Instrument, a company that nobody really talks about, is in that space. ASML is in that space for making the chips. There's about, I think definitely 5 that are better.
At least
5. And then maybe, I mean, you can just look inside of SMH and let's see where the holdings are at, right? I don't see Intel. Well, Intel's at 5%, right around Texas Instruments. So is there. Broadcom is another one.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I'm sure that their percentage of allocation was a lot higher.
Absolutely.
And as we can see now, NVIDIA leads the pack and TSM is second. So, I mean, maybe they're in the top 10, not 5.
Top 10,
Definitely
not
not
mentioned
2.
at all. But I know. The sun don't shine. The sun don't shine. Let it go. Please put it in chat. Only invest in the top 2, especially as we're entering a recession, soft depression. Now is not the time to gamble. We need guaranteed winners. Intel isn't one of them.
So how did Intel lose its way?
Combination of things. I think, like Troy said, I think sometime when you get in that number 1 position, you stop having a goal to reach towards. I think they were so comfortable thinking that their leadership and products would never fall apart. They got comfortable for a few years and stopped innovating. Like right now, I'm trying to find 3 or 4 ways to put myself out of business. Like you have to constantly be searching, like, what can I do to replace or defeat me easily to make everyone else go there? As soon as I saw everyone happy with ChatGPT, I'm like, first of all, automation, let's make it happen. So they didn't innovate for a long period of time, and now they're getting crushed across the board. And also, it doesn't make sense to lean on another company for all of your revenue. They never made hardware. They didn't make the software necessary. They were a supplier to.
Mm-hmm.
And if Apple, Microsoft, Google, other players start making their own chips, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you have it. All right. So okay, Intel sounds like that's not a stock that you're encouraging people to invest in.
No, and I've been screaming that for a year. And if you remember me saying it, please put yes in chat. Intel's on the way to being dead.
Okay,
Vital signs.
it's on its way.
The vital signs. We had them on Dead or Alive. Same report. They were vital signs.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Microsoft.
Yes.
So Microsoft had its earnings, and it helped the stock tremendously.
Yes, my baby.
If anybody's a Microsoft holder, I'm sure you saw a spike in your portfolio last week.
Yeah.
So what are some takeaways that we can get from Microsoft's latest developments?
Y'all go ahead. You take it.
I text you.
Yeah.
I'll text you. It was that Usher Raymond song. I was like, there goes my baby.
Killed it.
They killed
that
it.
call you put on, man.
We'll talk about it another time. Let's just run down the line of things of why, right? So a lot of people will see the numbers, but they have no idea why. And most times people don't listen. Here goes the thing. We talk about growth, right? When you want to invest in a company, you want to see growth. So how did the growth look over this quarter? All right. So the net income rose by 9% up to $18.3 billion. That's a positive. The revenue increased by 7% to $52.86 billion. Another positive. The productivity and business process. So that segment of the business, which encompasses Office and LinkedIn, rose by 11%.
And LinkedIn is crushing it.
That's a bonus, right? But Teams, right? The Teams communication app had over 300 monthly active users in the quarter. That's up from over 280. 300 million people are using Teams. Not to mention that they said that they are going to continue to invest in cloud infrastructure, particularly in AI-related expenditures. That's a positive because, again, when we talked about Intel IBM, we were talking about adaptivity. How will they adjust to the new technology? Are they innovating in real time?
Yep.
We've seen Microsoft do it. Open AI is something they invested in. Obviously, we know the ChatGPT space only helps their quarter. So when we're talking about growth, when you're talking about net income, you're talking about revenue, you're talking about all the segments that have grown, that's why you see a quarter like that. That's why you see your earnings report like that. That's why you saw the stock go up like that. Now, the only thing that went down slightly from expectations was the cloud service.
Yeah.
And it went down from, I think, a 31% increase
to 27.
To 27,
yeah.
A slight decline, which is okay. It's not catastrophic, but there were so many other positives, which is why when I text you, like, there she goes again. Here she goes again. She's a beauty.
The one quarter, $52.9 billion in revenue. That's more than most companies are doing like in a lifetime. That's one quarter. Operating income, $22.4 billion. Net income was $18.3. So when you're comparing, should I buy this stock versus another? Let's just see who has the most cash on hand. Something we've been saying to other podcasters too recently, right? What is the net income? They have $18.3 billion in one quarter. Why would you? And look, Teams destroys Zoom and Slack at the same time. Puts a lot of LinkedIn's putting a lot of, they're the only professional social network that is still growing.
Yeah.
This company is almost too perfect. And of course, with the investment in AI, They are on pace to be the leader, and they haven't even fully integrated everything from ChatGPT 4, and then when 5 comes out into Office, that's going to increase productivity. Like, I think Microsoft is trying to increase the productivity of the GDP of America.
Yeah.
You can't fight with that company. 2 tech, 2 index, no stress. One of the tech in that configuration is Microsoft. Cloud revenue, even though it went down, was at 28.5 billion. It's up 25% year over year.
Yeah, I think most people, especially like, they'll think of Microsoft, and the first thing that they'll think is like Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like such a small piece of the business.
Small, yeah.
Like this is where the money is. Like, we gotta really, like, when we dissect the company, yeah, on the surface, that's what we know.
It's only 3% of the revenue.
It's such a small piece of the business.
It's crazy,
right? And it's relevant because it's like, yeah, that is something that gauges people's interest in it. Like, from a younger audience, it's like, yeah, I can introduce Microsoft to my kids because there's an Xbox, but that might be the entry. But like, no, this is how they make their money. These are all the ways that they're making it. And when you see a report like that, when everything has risen in the important categories and important segments,
yep,
that's the company you want to invest in.
Absolutely. And ironically, Microsoft and Satya has outperformed Google. And while Google's in the advertising space, while they had Bard before ChatGPT became this behemoth, they've had some missteps, and Microsoft has not. Like, he's done an amazing job. Like, next to Tim Cook, I think he's the second best CEO of this era, hands down.
Cool.
But yes, in chat, if you make money off Apple or Microsoft, this is the one that keeps on going. And in about a year and a half, it should break that high of 349 and should get to that 375 area. Please continue to hold. If you're on the call, it is doing well. I won't tell your business, but job well done.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
So Microsoft is for the long haul. Just keep buying it.
Absolutely. As long as Satya is there, like, I don't see, is there any business services company that can beat them? Adobe can't. Google currently
That's
can't.
a solid company. Slept on company, but solid company.
Slept on.
Yeah.
Meta can't. We'll talk about them later. They've done better with the cost cutting measures, but there isn't a productivity suite that allows you to do more. And I know people think of Microsoft as boring, but they just continue to get better and better and better every year. And I think the stock is actually underpriced. It should be in a 450, 425 range.
Yeah.
Highest performer. The multi-billion-dollar company is up 25% year to date,
which is crazy.
It's a 0.25% return. 100 grand in, 25 grand out in 3 months. Unbelievable.
Yeah. They said Ian's mic is low. How does Ian sound? Put in chat how Ian sounds, shall we? Before we continue. And while you're at it, hit the like button
please,
and share.
This is my clear pineapple juice today.
Hit the like button and share. There's a merch sale. Shout out to Bam. I see a lot of people talking about Choice Hoodie. There's a merch sale for EYL merch.
Oh yeah. And this is the new.
But that's not out yet.
That's not out yet. Yeah.
Prototype.
Appreciate that. Shout out to Bam. Shout out to Smitty.
This is a prototype. All right. They said you sound good to them.
Perfect.
All right. Let's get this bad boy up to 5,000, and then we will talk about banks.
Yeah.
We will talk about the
banks. There's a code. You told him the code for the merch?
I did not tell him the code.
You said there's a merch sale. You didn't tell him the code. Tell him the code.
I don't know the code.
I don't know is the code.
It's BOGO, I think. Buy one, get one, something like that.
BOGO.
Yes, BOGO. Bam, text me if that is true. Hit the site. BOGO is the code.
GO. All right. Where shall we go? Let's go to Meta.
Yes.
Let's go to Meta. So Meta is a company that you have been very bullish on for a while.
Bearish
at first.
Bearish.
Yeah.
You have been very bearish on.
They must have called you.
You've been very
See y'all Thursday.
Yes. You've been very bearish on Meta for a long time.
Yes.
And Meta had one of the greatest stock drops of all time in one day. Was that last year?
That was historic.
But since then,
they've been kicking ass since then. I ain't gonna lie.
They have been steadily climbing the mountain. Steadily climbing the mountain from their low. I think their low was like 100 and
8809 right here.
88. Okay, their low was 8809. They are currently at 243.
Yep.
I am a believer in Instagram. I've always been a believer in Instagram.
What say you?
And believe in the resiliency. I believe in the resiliency of Meta.
Mm-hmm. I should too, as much as I'm up there.
So, okay. Is Meta officially back? Have they carved out the grave?
Well played.
Climbed out or carved out?
Either or.
Either or.
Either or.
What is the deal with Meta?
I think Meta's done it and I was telling everyone because I'm in the group text with Zuckerberg and a few other people at Meta on IG. He's back being hungry for the first time in a long time. He suffered from the same success that Intel did. But after them wanting to take his company over, he's been clawing back. I don't like all the innovations, but the number one thing that Meta's done is cut jobs and knowing people there. I'm going to be very honest. The morale at Meta, while the stock has gone up, everyone who works there is on pins and needles. I don't like the initiatives of sending everybody home to let them know if they're going to be fired. But of course, they were too top heavy. Now, of course, you have to cut costs. I get it. Sometimes the first thing that people do is lay off employees. As a result, the stock has gone up. I'm still looking to see the innovation. On an earnings call, they did say that they're not giving up on the metaverse, which I think is a mistake, but there's less of an emphasis on it. Move in the right direction. They have some things that they're going to do in AI, move in the right direction. So they have come up past that 50% retracement or 45% retracement at 181. So they are slowly back into the positive. Long way away from 433.
Yeah.
But I still need to see a little bit more innovation on Instagram side, how they monetize. They took away Reels. So there's a lot of inconsistency in their pricing structure that I don't like. But I can't lie, this has been a hell of a rebound from the 88 and 102 level for sure.
Yeah, I think that the about 170% increase since the low, which is incredible. But you said it. I mean, you highlighted all the things, right? If I want to make more money, how can I do it? Without innovating? Number one, let's cut some jobs. Cut costs. Yep. That's number one. Pull back on some of the innovative things I was talking about. $50 billion being spent on the metaverse. All right,
it's a horrible product.
Let's scale that. Let's scale that back. Let's stop paying out money. So let's cut back on Reels. But what's helped them as well is the ad space.
Absolutely.
Like that. I mean, I think they reported $58.9 billion in ad revenue, which is incredible. So there was a time last year when everybody was in fear of a recession and everybody cut back on their spending. Those times are easing up and people are now advertising on Facebook again and spending money, and they're able to sell space again because the world's back open.
Instagram and Google are the only two places that are always
that's it. Well, that's what I'm saying. Corporate accounts are opening again, and we can see it, especially in this space where we're looking at corporations that have ad expenditures and we're seeing the amounts that they're spending. So imagine that at that level. They took in 60. That's a lot of money. That's more than a lot of businesses even generate in the history of their existence, their enterprise, right? So they're taking that from the ad space. You got to take that into account. How does that slow down, or can they expand upon that? Now, when they create more innovative things, will it help? We'll see. I know that Apple coming into the eyewear space doesn't help them with the Oculus. So maybe that won't be the innovative space, but it does give them leeway to be innovative again, which is helpful.
They spent $13.7 billion on Meta in 2022. They made $60 billion here. It was great. I think if they cut the metaverse project, they would be better off. And if they focus on just improving the ad platform, I think they have one of the best of all time, in that ad platform, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. It's still not the easiest platform to use. Targeting is not always the best. Great bounce, especially if you're swing trading, great bounce, but how many jobs can you cut? They're not an organization where you can only have 2,000 people working there and be efficient. So I think we're seeing the last of this bounce for a little bit of time until we see some other innovation.
Yeah, I think that Meta, if you would like to make me an ambassador for Instagram, I would definitely be open to it.
Hold on, bro.
No, don't. I'm not in the best.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making a pitch there. I thought it was a pitch coming there.
No. Let's not do the zoom in on me today. But I would be open to it because I have championed you guys through the good times and the bad times.
Gotcha.
And I do feel that they're here to stay as a company. I feel that the blue check thing was a good idea. I think it was executed better.
Wait, the blue.
I thought you
wait,
hated it.
you hated
Hold
that.
on.
Hold on, wait. Let's go back.
Listen,
I'm about to act like Flip.
Let's go back.
As far as for a user and all of that, yeah, I'm talking about a good idea as far as business. A good
Oh, for them.
for them.
Oh, yeah.
For me, no, I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
But as far as for them getting more revenue, it's a good idea. And it was implemented better than Twitter.
Twitter is a disaster.
This is what Twitter did, in my opinion, that was a mistake. Instagram, if you have a blue check already, they kept it. And it's just like, okay, if you want a blue check, now you can pay for it. So there's still an incentive to have a blue check because everybody else already kept their blue check. Twitter took everybody's blue check away and said, now everybody has to pay for it.
Make money somehow.
But when nobody has a blue check, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything anymore, right? Yeah. And they haven't been as profitable in that endeavor as Instagram has. Yeah. So it's like you take Kim Kardashian's check away, she's not going to pay $9 a month for a check. So now it doesn't mean anything. So now efficiently they destroyed the power of the blue check for Twitter because you took everybody's blue check away except for like 100 people. Mm-hmm. So now nobody's even really caring about a blue check. Instagram kept the blue checks and just made it available to buy a blue check if you want it. I think that was way better execution than Twitter.
Absolutely. I agree. And I don't think everybody can get it either. Like even if they wanted to pay, they just can't get it.
The throttle on who can get it?
Yeah, like I know.
Instagram?
Yeah, shout out to MG. I know he said that there was some issues with him trying to get his.
Can't get his blue check?
Yeah.
Why can't he get a blue check?
I don't know. If you over at Meta, make sure my brother MG can get his blue check, please. Stop playing with MG, man. He's a certified gem dropper. Rancher Gems is the #1 real estate show.
Thursday. I got you.
Stop playing. I got you, man. Yeah. Smash is brought to you by your leisure.
And I still feel like they have a long way to go with WhatsApp. Because WhatsApp is a hidden gem. Well, it's not hidden to people that are international. The international community, they on WhatsApp all the time. So I'm not sure if they're monetizing WhatsApp because it's free.
Yeah, that's my question. If they try and monetize it, do you think people will pay, or will it be the same issue at Twitter? Because I told them like most people internationally can't afford to pay $10 a month or $20 a month for WhatsApp.
It's not even an incentive.
Yeah, I think they have to do a version maybe where it's a free version and then you have a premium service. And I don't know if that premium service is for business owners or if that premium service allows you to do a little bit more. But I think that they have to find a way to start monetizing WhatsApp. They have billions of people that's on there. Like they have a lot of people on WhatsApp. So
when do you think they'll, and shout out to Isaac Hayes III, who will also be at InvestFest, but he did something very intelligent with his certification. He changed the color.
That's smart.
So do you think that at some point Instagram goes from blue to when it's now a premium, it's a different color, like it's gold or it's, you know what I mean? Something like that?
I think if they did, it would be too much of a liability to potentially get sued. Since Isaac has already put that out there. I know some people, Twitter tested it as well, but like that blue check historically for half a decade
that's the standard.
Meant something.
Okay.
So yeah, shout out to Meta for the cost cutting measures, but employee morale is down like crazy. And once again, going back to the top two, rate pounds. Are they better than Apple, Microsoft, LinkedIn in comparison? Like we're just taking tech across the board. Are they? No, they fell from top 5 to
don't mention it all.
10th, maybe.
Shout out to MG's in the chat.
Man, I got you.
MG says, "Stop playing with me. I see you, boy. Stop playing with him."
So, all right. I want to go to First Republic, but before we go to First Republic, let's have a health discussion. It's important. So we put a post up last week with Steve Harvey saying that you shouldn't get 8 hours of sleep. Well, not that you shouldn't get 8 hours of sleep, but it's going to be difficult to get 8 hours of sleep if you're going to be successful. And that's always a controversial statement. People have different thoughts on that situation. I will say this. Today, I made a big mistake.
What was that, my brother?
Well, I went to bed around 2:00, which is normal for me, but They've been trying to get me. Shout out to my guy AJ. They give me this open run at 6:00 in the morning for basketball, and I went today. I usually don't go because it's too early, and I went. I played basketball at 6:00 in the morning, so that means I got up at like 5:00. So I had like 3 hours of sleep, and I worked out, and I haven't felt this bad in decades.
You felt like how I felt when I tore my knee?
Well, I don't feel physically bad, but I just I feel like I'm about to die. So
Can we get my guy Pedialyte, please?
Yo, can we bring something down here for him?
ASAP.
Please.
So
Please.
I will say that it's probably not the best idea. You should probably try to get some sleep if you can.
Yes.
Yo, man, I'm so happy to hear you say that. I've been telling you that for years. I remember like in the early, they're like, yo, Shotty looks tired. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't sleep, but you got to rest. And that was one of the things that Rich Lou Dennis told us. He was like, look, guys, I'm not telling you don't sleep. Sleep.
Yeah.
But rest is different, right? Take a break from it. Put your phone down. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your family. Be present in your moments. It's refreshing. Like the rain coming here this weekend was one thing, but it was like, all right, well, we either can like really just have bonding time because nobody's outside.
Yeah.
Or we could just like stay locked in our work. Yeah, we could do the work, but like focusing, having that time to have rest.
Yeah.
Because when you rest, you're refreshed.
Yes. And your brain works a lot.
Your brain work, yeah, you're more creative.
And I was on the other side of it for a long time. I was with the not sleeping your dead thing, and then you get close to dying, you're like, let me stop. Also, with all the automation, Chat GPT, Auto GPT, Zapier, there's so many ways where you can automate some of this stuff to allow you to get more rest.
Yeah.
And what's the benefit of having money, wealth, etc., if the rest is not there? So like, yeah, you have to get your rest.
Yeah, fatigue is important. It can mess up everything, especially like in the space that we're in, where it's like we're in the public and we're doing interviews and we're super interested in what people are saying. Like if you're fatigued while you're doing that, it hurts. It hurts the preparation for it. It hurts the questioning. So rest is important. I'm glad that you are finally at that point, my brother. I'm upset that you had to be here to do it, but I'm happy that you got to that point where you realize that rest is important. And I'm sure
the son needs
hey,
rest.
you know who's happy? You know who's really happy? Your mom.
Yes.
She's smiling right now. She's smiling.
But regardless of anything,
The show must go on.
the show must go on.
Absolutely.
Regardless of
Today,
anything.
regardless.
We're here.
Yo,
Speaking of health, though, Eli Lilly has a drug to help type 2 diabetes patient lose 50% of their body weight or 34 pounds on average. As a result, Eli Lilly hit all-time high of $407.
what's the drug?
What
does it do?
It's a type 2 diabetes drug, help you lose weight.
Oh, okay.
Rapidly.
Oh, that's the thing that everybody's taking.
Everybody's taking.
Everybody
We
know some people, not everybody. But
on the black market, everybody's taking this drug. Can we find out the name of that drug? Because everybody's taking it right now.
The people that we know, could you just shoot us a text of the name? Appreciate it.
It's the weight. It's
weight loss. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? You have a controversial.
I feel like drugs always have some side effect.
I agree.
That's my only problem with drugs. Like it's always something that happens. Like you can't stop going to the bathroom. You're constipated, or you're throwing up in the morning, or you start to get nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't like to take drugs. I've never been a proponent of taking drugs.
Yeah.
I'm not against taking drugs because I understand that sometimes it's needed, right? Like sometimes it's needed. I'm not an extremist.
Yeah.
But I come from like a very holistic family. So that's kind of how I was raised. So I always try to go the natural route if possible before the drug route. But it is interesting, that drug that you mentioned.
Yep.
Because
it's been working.
Yeah. And it's extremely popular on the black market right now. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you have America where probably almost the majority of the people are overweight.
Yeah.
So
they can't get it from the doctor. Why you keep saying black market?
Because I don't think you're supposed to get it. Like if you don't have diabetes, you're not supposed to get it.
Oh, so you're saying people without diabetes?
People are using it just to lose weight.
I got you.
So I don't think that it's like, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think a doctor is supposed to be giving that to you unless you medically need it.
Some of the people who we know have texted us. Ozapak, and there's one. Hold on a sec. We'll leave their names anonymous.
Yeah.
What's the name of the drug?
Monjaro. Am I saying that right? Monjaro.
Ozapak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ozempic is one. It's better.
Ozapak.
That
Ozapak. We on the Ozapak tonight.
They
Ozapak.
they lower your A1C, but it helps with weight loss.
Yeah, the weight loss, man.
1 year return for Eli Lilly, 40%, 40.15% in 1 year. 5 year return, 417%. Lifetime return, 9,725%. Shout out to Indianapolis, Indiana, one of the greatest companies of all time.
That's a solid.
Eli Lilly. If you've been holding since I've told you,
well played.
Well played.
Well played.
So the last 5 years for that has been 400%.
Yeah, 400%.
Yeah,
417%
for a big one. And let's go research. Put in chat. I know y'all hate to open the questions. Where does Eli Lilly rank in the healthcare space? Is it number 1, 2, 3, or 4? Let me know. This is why I keep saying, focus on top 2.
Who's 2? Who you got it to?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not messing with nobody outside Lilly. They are so dominant.
Is Stryker in your top 5?
Definitely.
Okay.
Stryker's in top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Eli Lilly is your number one healthcare company.
Yeah.
Lilly's Braun.
Shout out to Brian.
Shout out to Bronny.
Well, because it's the biggest business in America.
Yep.
And there's always going to be a need for something, whether it's a need for Viagra, whether it's a need for weight loss, whether it's a need for whatever. People want the short-term solution.
Absolutely.
People want the short-term solution. And that is why the pharmaceutical and the drug industry has made so much money. Because it's like, yeah, I'd rather still eat cheesecake and take a blood pressure pill. How about you stop eating cheesecake? That's an option.
And that's what shout out to everyone that had to go walk for cheesecake on Making the Band too. Also,
hold on. They said I'm botching the name crazy. Ozempic.
Okay.
And it's prescribed.
Yeah.
Thanks, research team.
Well, and here's how you should know if you should invest in pharma. Do you think that the population of American citizens will get healthier over the next 20 years?
No.
Or sicker? If you think they're going to get sicker, we need to invest in pharma for long-term gains. Probably in 10, 15 years, if they don't split, Eli Lilly should be like at $1,500. Amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
The money's in the treatment.
Well, we will monitor the situation and once
like a blood pressure monitor? He's clever.
Yes. And the only way, if you don't see me on Market Mondays, that means that I died. That's the only way.
That's ridiculous.
That's the only way I'll miss. That's the only way I'll miss.
This guy's ridiculous.
No matter what, you got to show up.
Show up
to work. It's extremely important, ladies and gentlemen. No days off. So let's talk about the big news of the day. JP Morgan, big bank, take little bank.
Another one.
Literally. JP Morgan has taken over control of First Republic Bank. First Republic Bank seized by regulators. So the deal finally was approved by FDIC. JP Morgan is taking on $103 billion in deposits. I believe 84 branches, something like that, in 8 states will now reopen.
They opened today as JP Morgan Chase banks.
Okay. So let's really get into this situation.
Another example of you should only invest in the top 2 in the space. JP Morgan is number 1. Bank of America is number 2. I think Brian's a great CEO, but Bank of America stock has not moved that much. Also, living through the last recession, what you see normally is that smaller banks get acquired by bigger banks. At some point, we'll go in detail about FedNow, but FedNow has selected who their partners will be. JP Morgan will be one of them. So with the acquisition what total win for JP Morgan, because now they get to ensure some safety, and it was needed. He stated that this level of bank collapse is over. This is not 2007 and 2008, but we're going to see the bigger banks get larger, and the mid-sized banks are going to go away. As a result, like PNC got punished today. So it's no way that you can My baby Xander called me. There's no reason for you to invest in the bank number 5 through 10 if JP Morgan is sitting up there at number 1 when they have all the favor amongst government. And I want to be very clear when I say this. The banking sector is not a great sector to invest in anyway. There's only about 4 or 5 banks you should invest in long term. JP may be one of them if you're older. I wouldn't do it right now, but this is a classic case of we're going to see massive consolidation or during this great reset and depression period. We're going to see that the market is going to go down and the big banks are going to get bigger as a result.
Yeah, and we saw this happening. This wasn't like surprise.
No, at all.
This came out of nowhere. Like we saw this happening when we saw what happened with Signature and we saw what happened with SVB. When people make a run on the bank, right? When they start withdrawing their deposits, that's a fire. Like that's the alarm. Like you got to see that. And so when people saw that, they were looking around to see which bank is acceptable for another run. And right away, people pinpointed that First Republic would be next.
Yep.
3 weeks ago, we covered it because the big banks, the big 5, put $30 billion into these banks.
Yep.
That didn't help because during the quarter, last Monday, they reported that they lost this is First Republic. They lost $100 billion worth of deposits during the first 3 months of last year. Their stock was down 97%.
It was on a death spiral.
This is the exact definition of a death spiral. 97% in 3 months. Of course.
Jim Cramer.
Of course. What did we think was going to happen? Right? It just so happened that, I mean, this probably been going on in the works because the number one depositor when they were putting money into it was JP Morgan.
Yeah.
And so the government looked, the FDIC said, look, this is about to fold. Who can help?
Yep.
Who's the number one depositor? Let's call JP. They saved the day.
Yeah.
They did it just in the nick of time before Monday morning's business opened. And now those branches that, were once First Republic on Friday are now JP Morgan. The problem is, so a lot of people are like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? Doesn't mean much for the people who had their money inside the bank.
Yeah, if your money was in it.
Your money was there, you're fine, right? The problem is what happens to the people who were invested in the stock.
You're screwed.
Those people are in trouble because even now, if you look at it, they don't have an idea. So JP Morgan did not assume First Republic's corporate debt or preferred stock. So neither JP or the FDIC have explicitly said that they're going to purchase the means of First Republic's common shareholders, the stocks. So if you had stock in it, this is an unfortunate time.
So what did that mean if you had stock in it?
It's over with.
It's over.
It's going to go in receivership. At some point, you may get a small settlement for pennies on a dollar. A few of you hit me this morning. The only thing I could say is I'm sorry. Like It's not a time for.
Because even in the order of repayment, the shareholders are last.
Yeah.
Right. So at first it goes to the depositors, then it goes to the unsecured creditors, then subordinated debt. Then after all that, then it's like, all right, let's see if we can pay the shareholders back.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No.
So part of the settlement with Chase, it has nothing to do with, all right, we're going to pay back the shareholders. So if somebody had shares in First Republic, unfortunately, I mean, if you're paying attention to your account, right, and you're watching it go down 50%, 60%,
you definitely got to cut
95%. I'm not sure this is the time when you're like, all right, let's see if it'll go back. At that point, it should be like, hey, there's a huge issue going on here, or you should be alert to that, or you should have maybe a stop loss. That would probably be the best thing. And again, it's unfortunate.
And then also, if you invested in the stock, I have to ask you, were you actually banking with the bank? I never have met one person that said they banked with FRC. Ever. Like, it goes back to the classic example. Like, sometimes if you're not using the product that you're investing in, it's not a good investment. If you don't know anyone else that's using it, not the best investment. Once again, were they top 2 in the space? No. Did they have a competitive advantage that no one else has? No. Like the easy gains of 2020 are gone. Companies that are constructed horribly, shitty valuations, not the best customer base, they're going to go away.
Shai, they said, are you okay? Can you look up if you're okay? He's okay.
Powering through.
We're going to get through this. No, but this is the biggest collapse since 2000 in Washington Mutual.
Yep.
Here is what they have in common. Who purchased Washington Mutual?
Wachovia? I mean, no. Who purchased Washington? JP Morgan too?
There you go.
Yeah.
Common theme, right? Common theme, right? Before that was Bear Stearns. Who purchased them? JP Morgan Chase. Common theme, right? So when we talk about big bank getting big, the biggest just got bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
If Buffett does not get a chance to bail somebody out, it's going to go to JP. They have preferred treatment amongst Federal Reserve and our United States government. And you have to give him credit. Jamie is probably one of the smartest bankers since, like, this is like easy pickings. Like when LeBron went through what he went through in Miami, it prepared him from when he played the Golden State Warriors. Like, this is easy money for Jamie. He's been through this before. 2007 and 8 were way worse. This is an easy pickup, easy acquisition, game, set, match. Banking is not the best sector to invest in. Only do it if you're older, but if you are going to do one, do so with JP Morgan. I'm not just saying that because
it's not an endorsement.
It's not an endorsement.
Yeah, but I mean, just historically, if you look at even the 2008 situation, the role that Jamie Dimon played in pretty much saving the banking system. I mean, again, here he is again, getting another acquisition to add to the portfolio. So, yeah, the big bank just took on another little bank.
Literally.
Yeah.
What about Jim Cramer? Was he being sarcastic?
What do you do?
On March 10th, he said First Republic is the new focus. Very good bank.
He's had a history of this, man. He's had a history since. So it's crazy. It's crazy because you bring him up, and again, this is a legend. We're not throwing dirt on his name, but since the moment he cried, remember he did the crying thing with Meta?
Yep.
He cried on camera because I believe in the stock, and he cried. Like since that moment, it went up 178%.
You got one down.
But like now that they've had a whole meme, like I told you, they created a whole ETF with that. It goes to opposition to everything he says, and that the ETF is actually performing well. But when he said, I'm like, wait, was he serious? Because March 10th was probably the time when we were talking about, all right, here come the big banks to come help them out and add 30 billion in deposits to keep this one afloat. I'm not sure what he saw.
I always say it anytime, and we saw it with Stephen A. Like JJ Redick lit up Stephen A. saying, "Hey," and listen, I'm having a hard time just driving with a torn MCL, like let alone Kawhi playing. When you're doing media that much 5 days a week, it's very hard to be able to do research at the same time. So, and Jim's getting older. I mean, he was gracious when I met him. I had the honor to meet him last year. But doing a show every single day doesn't give you enough time to do research. Like even doing a show weekly is tough for us. So we got flu game shot. I've been playing through the
flu games.
You
got a tour MCL. This is
come on. But show must go on. Speaking of which, get your tickets to Market Mondays live in London.
Tell them where. Peacock Theater.
June
18th.
And me and Troy was having a little conversation before the show started. Y'all better get these tickets because now I get to be in charge of pricing. Okay. Chicago price is going to be different.
All the way up.
And so what got us. So get your tickets now so I can teach you how to master this market before it turns over on you.
So, okay. So if you invested in a stock, you're pretty much you're done. You're done. But if you're a customer of the bank, you're still good.
You're great. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they were even doing as much as far as I know the FDIC was insuring 250,000. They were making concessions to have people who had more than that. They were still getting their money. And so anybody that had money inside the bank, they should be fine.
Are banks a bad investment for the long term?
Absolutely. I'm gonna be very clear. Like
why?
Banks are I mean, even if you look at the fractional reserve model, I mean, you take deposits in, you can loan out 10x that. Most banks don't grow very fast, and you don't also want to come off as a threat. Like Bank of America, if I look at it over the last 5 years, went from 17.99 up to 50. Now it's back down to 29. Let's say you caught the bottom at 18. You almost doubled your money over a 5-year period. That's not a great return when you're looking at Microsoft, Eli Lilly, GSK. There's a bunch of other companies you can invest in. And the margins are just tighter than they used to be in the 1980s and 1970s. Like JP Morgan is a good one, but if you name any other bank, let's look at PNC, which I actually like the bank, but as a stock, the high was at 288.14.
Oh, they had part of our dead or alive. Go ahead.
Yeah, in January 22, they're at 122 now. It's not looking good for PNC. Most banks have no competitive advantage. They don't delight the customer the way that they could and or should. And if I'm looking at the way that the world is going to change, let's say the Fed now things becomes big And I put on Instagram earlier, like in 3 years, I truly believe we will be like 100% cashless in every big city. What advantage do most banks have over FedNow, Apple, Starbucks, Visa? There's no competitive advantage. Like, have you ever heard a person in the last 5 years say, I just love going to XYZ Bank? No one.
No.
That's an issue.
Here's a big question. This is because, and shout out to the whole country of Canada.
Yes.
Because I think it raises the question when we talk about the TSX, and I'm glad that we spoke about international investing last week with JT. But when we're in Toronto, when we're talking about the TSX and how heavy it's weighted, right? When we looked at the U.S. economy, we looked at the S&P, we saw that technology was heavily weighted. But in Canada, the financials are heavily weighted. 32% of the TSX are financial companies. And so if banks aren't a great investment long term, what does that say for a country that is relying on banks pretty much?
But Canada isn't as tech heavy. So it reminds me of like our economy, like in 0203. It was more financials dominated, more real estate dominated. You have Shopify there, but you don't have like 7 or 8 dominant tech companies there. If they had an Instagram there or something of that comparable nature, I think they will make the switch to, even if I'm looking at TD went from 86 down to 60. The return since 96 has been incredible. It was at $4.72. But most people are not, but they're also like being heavily shorted now.
Right.
There are not many banks that people just love. Nowhere in the world do most people love to go to banks. You can argue that maybe Goldman or Morgan Stanley, if you want some banking exposure, would be a good one to go to. Goldman, I would invest in long term.
We spoke about that when we talked about Apple and their relationship with Apple. Yep.
Yeah. Or Morgan Stanley. But other than that, a traditional retail bank that continuously have to cut fees, there's no margin there for them to really even grow. So no.
All right. Well, hit the like button and share, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Drop your cash apps too, so I can buy. We have 5,000 yet or no?
We got 6,000, man.
Okay, drop your cash apps.
It's free to hit the like button and share. You want to go dead or alive segment?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll keep it brief. Let's do dead or alive. Y'all know how this works. We're gonna go over a few companies. We're gonna check the vital signs, whether they're healthy or whether they are on life support. And you started with PNC. We were in the financial. We were just talking about that. So let's go there. For those not in the know, PNC, company that provides financial services and asset management, wealth management, estate planning, loan servicing, and information processing, amongst other things. It is trading at $122. The ticker is PNC. They are down 6% today, obviously, with the news, I'm assuming, with from what happened with First Republic. What are your thoughts on PNC? What are the vital signs?
It's not dead, but I would not invest in PNC. I think the company is fantastic, but sometimes you have a fantastic company that is well run that's just not a good stock. They could slide down to as low as maybe 93.46. Most people, if you ask them if they know what PNC is, don't know. They started off as like a regional bank and kind of grew from there. Solid company. I just don't like the stock. I'm not going to say it's dead, but I definitely would not invest in it.
Yeah, they put in a bid to buy First Republic.
That would have been a hell of a game changer for them.
Yeah,
they needed it.
JP, it's tough to compete with number one, but they put in a bid. Citizens also put in a bid for them, and they lost.
This would be like Nike versus ASICS.
Ugh.
Like if you had to buy like a retail commercial good company, would you pick Nike or ASICS? You may like a particular pair of ASICS more, but Nike is Nike. JP Morgan is the behemoth in that space. I wouldn't want to compete against them.
They are who they are.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to this one. Newell Brands. Ticker is NWL, trading at $10.81. Real quick, they're an American manufacturer, marketer, and distributor of consumer and commercial products. Some of the brands under the umbrella are Rubbermaid. We probably heard of that. Elmer's, we use that in school all the time, right? The glue. And Papermate. So what's your thoughts on Newell Brands?
If I took it as a swing trade, I like it at $4.55. It's at 10.08. I do not like it long term. I would not touch it long term. Maybe for a swing. This is closer than to dead than alive. In 1985, the low was $2.53. It's like 5 bad weeks away from hitting that low. So if it got to the 480s or $4 flat, maybe for a swing trade, absolutely, I would not touch this for long term.
We're picking out the tombstone.
You get your affairs in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get your affairs in order. See if John Legend available to same ordinary people or something. But this is not one I would invest in.
All right, let's do one more. All right, global payments. They are trading at 103. Let me get the ticker up there for you. I'll tell you what they are, and then we'll tell you the ticker. All right, so global payments, they're American multinational financial technology company that provides payment technology and services to merchants, issuers, and consumers. What are your thoughts on global payments? Right now, they're trading at 103.
Let me grab GPN. Let me look. Not bad. If it fell maybe to 78, I would swing trade it.
Mhm.
I don't like it for long term. So when I'm doing my investment analysis and seeing that something's been constantly going down like this, first question I ask, are they top 2 in the space? Do they have any innovation that can push them in the top 2 or top 3?
Mhm.
What are their competitors doing to fall off slowly that will allow them to take pole position or be number 2? And what's their revenue? I don't like it. The answers when I ask those are not sufficient. Year to date or 1 year, they're down 17%. If you look over the last 5 years, the return is negative 5%. So like they had a great run before, but once again, mismanagement is taking over. I don't see any competitive advantage there. I would not touch it right now.
I'm not going there.
No. Closer to death than alive.
All right, so get your affairs in order. Pick out the tombstone. No, let's know who the ushers are going to be.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into this. And this is a topic that we could have talked about last week, but it's still relevant this week as well. And that is the VIX. So the VIX is at its lowest level since 2021. What does that mean for the stock market? I'm going to give some context for it, and then maybe you can say what it means to the stock market. So the VIX is, and a lot of people get this confused, right? They think it's the indicator of volatility, which is sort of true, but it's more accurate to say it's the implied volatility, what this will look like in the future, right? And so it's based on 30 days projections, right? So the VIX, for those not in the know, it is a numbers of mean. So VIX levels above 20 are typically considered high. And so for most of the pandemic, we saw it teetering around 20. When the pandemic hit, we saw it go up to past 47, up to 80. So in times of economic downturn, you're going to see the VIX go up. If the VIX is below 12, it's typically considered low. So if it goes below the number 12, it's low. And anything in between 12 and 20 is considered normal. So right now it's at, what is it, 15 point?
Yeah, I went to 15.5.
15.5.
And it said currently at 16.08.
So most people will look at this and say, all right, if the VIX is in the normal rating, is this a good time to invest, right? Because we know if it goes above 30, that means there's, like, if we looked at that fear and greed chart, this over 30 would be like, all right, now we're in greed. People should slow down on the things they're trying to invest in. What are your thoughts on where the VIX is right now, what it means for the market?
One lesson is you want to buy when the VIX is high. So when the VIX is low, it means the stocks are normally going up. An interesting fact though, anytime that their price is between like $10.95 to like $16 where we're at now, the VIX usually ends up shooting to $31 or 52 a quarter later. So with the summertime coming, volatility could increase. The all-time low for the VIX was $8.56. That was in 2017. In 2018, VIX went up to $48.78. The next time it came down to that low was October of 2019. The VIX shot up to 85.52 after that. So we're coming inside of this danger zone. Should you still buy every month? Yes. But you don't want to buy historically when the VIX is low. You want to buy stocks when the VIX is high. And if we break underneath 12, I would stop until we get to about 10. And then we're going to see things start to switch up in the summertime. We're going to see a lot more volatility in June, July, and August.
Can I just take an intermission break real quick?
Yeah. All right. So here's what we'll do. Let's do
Show some love to Shotty.
How about that? Can we
push him through?
We should put the clap emojis. Put the clap emojis in chat. Slide over a little bit.
Yeah.
Slide over a little bit. All right, here we go. All right. So since we talked about the VIX and we talked about the companies, let's do this. We haven't done this in a while. Let's give some people some stocks that they should be looking at, maybe some levels that they can get into that. You ready to do that? I see the computer's up.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot the stocks. Let's talk about my favorite.
Which one?
My favorite in 2023 thus far. And we talk about it a lot. And we gave,
Yeah, I'm already pulling.
Let's talk about NVIDIA. Y'all should know the ticker by now, NVDA. Let's talk about it.
Let me pull up my levels real quick. NVIDIA has been kicking ass across the board. If you can get into, if it ever slides back to 170, 150, that's the area to get in. Anything above 267, don't touch. A low at the boat area would be like 142, 47. 225 is like the lowest area I would touch it. It's going to come back down at some point because if you look to price to earnings ratio, the PE ratio is way too high. But those are the couple levels that I would like to be able to get in on the VIX. But NVIDIA is going to keep running. And if you feel like you missed out on it, I get it. I totally understand. But you cannot chase, because whenever you chase something too high, it ends up coming down, then you're down 15% for nothing. If you need an easy entry for like a swing trade, maybe 253 will be an area to get in, and you'll be good.
I love NVIDIA. I text you all the time about it. I love it. And then the other one, and so NVIDIA is now part of my new plan. I know I was telling people, like, let's get 100 doors in real estate. Let's get 1,000 shares of a company. NVIDIA is now on my docket, my portfolio of trying to attain 1,000 shares. We already did it with Apple. We did it with Microsoft.
Yep.
We did it with Amazon, and we did it with the next company. Let's talk about AMD. Let's talk about that. Hold on. Before you do that, let's slide the chair. Slide the chair. Let's see if we can get it out the shot. Perfect. All right, we're good.
So it's real time.
Yeah, this is real time. All right, let's do it. Slide you over. I'm gonna slide you over. We're gonna do this live, so they always like they playing. All right, we good. Okay, let's talk about AMD. I'm gonna move the chair.
You also show some love to my guy Shadi in chat too. AMD, I like either 65, 79 or 54.71.
54.
It could slide back that much. That's like a low to book price. I'll
Okay.
give context around that. I wouldn't touch it here at 88 at all. It's too high. But if I can get it at the 65.79 price point, I would be very, very happy. So you can set a pending order right there. It's really important to wait for your key levels. Like, I know some people hate waiting.
Yeah.
And then you message me in the middle of the night, yo, fam, it's 12:30. I know you at the baseball game, but why I'm down? You didn't listen. My new slogan is you either listen or you lose. You pick. I'm telling you what areas to wait for. 65.79 is the area to get in. Wait for that. P ratio is getting back to normal for AMD. Please put in chat. It is best to wait for the best price.
I saw you put that on your Instagram. That's your new slogan.
Have to.
You landed in New York.
I told people about
screamed it out the window.
Have to, like, listen, FRC fell apart. It's like some things are common sense.
Yeah.
But if you're just trying to gamble, and guess what? And I was saying this on the way over when I was on live. Even when you're trading and investing, you are competing against other traders and sometimes your broker. So your brokerage mate, and it's something I told Stock Club Call, I never said again after I say it here publicly. If you're trading so well, you have to understand if you are becoming a risk for the brokerage. That's why, like, you guys ever have traded and you get on a win streak in the next quarter, your orders don't get filled, the quality of trades are not there, and you feel like the market is parading against you. Sometimes the brokerages are taking the other side of your trade to keep you, or you'll set a stop 10% down and it hit the 10% stop. All of a sudden, it hits your stop and then goes off in your favor. You have to be mindful of these things. Either listen or you'll lose. It's up to you.
Be a patient investor.
It pays.
I'm gonna throw. Let's throw one in there, and I'm sure Bam's gonna be happy about this. And they had a pretty good quarter on semiconductor. Since we're talking about semis, we talked about NVIDIA. ON is one of my sleepers. It's one of my sleepers. Yeah. I spoke about it last year. It did really well. And then Bam texted me like, "Yo, bro, you didn't tell me whether you sold it or not." I'm like, I've been so busy.
Yeah.
But I think I like on long term as one of those sleepier semiconductors.
Yeah.
The only reason I found it, and this is what I'm talking about when you do the research, is again, I was looking at SMH, I was looking at other semiconductor ETFs, and I kept seeing a common theme that they had allocation inside of this company. And so now I was like, I got to figure out what this company does. What's their role? I'm like, oh, okay. Let me look at this from an ETF standpoint, but also let me look at it from an individual equity standpoint. How do I invest in it? They had a great quarter. Let's talk about ON Semi.
Yeah, I like ON at $66.82. And if it gets back down to $47.58, that'll be like a load the boat price. But $66.82 is where I like it. It's currently at $78.33. So not that far off. solid company, not top 2, but it has been like a consistent grower. Yeah, 66.82 is where I like it for a long-term hold only.
All right, let's go to Carpenter Technology. This is one that probably people don't talk about. CRS is the ticker. They just beat their EPS by 25%, which is nothing to slouch at. So 25% on the earnings per share. CRS, what's your thoughts?
I don't like this in long term. Maybe for a swing trade, but because it's high, their all-time high was in 2007 at $79.66. I don't like it. It has some real deep valleys. Low to boat price would be like $19.59. If I had to get it now, I'll wait for 36. But ideally, I mean, look, in 2007, it was at 79 and 08 because of recession. It went down to 12. Okay, let's take that out. 2014, it went from 66. 2 years later, it was down to 25. So this stock has a history of being cut at least in half. I will wait for that $33 to $38 range if I just had to jump in, but $19 is where I would want to get it ideally on Carpenter.
Yeah, this you to put this one on my chart review. I said, wait, hold on. I've never even researched this company. Hele, Helen of Troy Limited. Talk to me about this one here.
This one is interesting. This is one of the ones when you end up doing your research and you find like a company that's had a great breakout quarter or year. They had from 2018 to 2021, they did absolutely amazing.
Look at their 10-year chart though, right? If we go back to 2013, we're trading at what, $35, right? Up until 2022. Even last year, it got up to $232
and then fell back down.
Yeah.
Currently at $98. I like it at $75 or $76 if I got to touch it. But it went from 47 in 2014 up to 265 and gave all those gains away. So write this down. I want you to look at the 10-year chart, and if it has any drops over 50%, you cannot hold that thing for 5 years. Because most companies that tend to drop 50, 60% in a year or 2 years, that pattern tends to repeat itself in the next recession or major pullback. So interesting company, but I don't like it unless it gets to 75.
Can we go to some commodities?
Absolutely.
Let's do some commodities. Let's talk about gold.
Yes. Took a GOD. We talked about a lot this with 19 Keys and with JC. I like gold. I will wait for like 172.99 to get in for ticker GLD. A low to boat price, if it ever got back there, would be like 125, but 172.99 is good. You should have some gold exposure, maybe 10%. I know everyone's like, should I buy the actual stock or have the physical version? It's really hard to carry around 50 pounds of gold. If you have something great, I know if you walk through the Bronx with gold, what's going to happen to you?
The modern day Slick Rick.
Hey, it's going to come right out your pockets like Mario coins. But GOD at 172.99 isn't bad. Low to boat price is 126.
Did you go see that yet?
Yeah, I took Xander to go see it.
Yo, it's crazy.
Amazing. Well, I fell asleep
it's been breaking records every week. Every week.
Movie.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The parts that I saw were great.
Yeah, it made me want to go play Mario Kart. I came home and said, let me beat my kids down in Mario Kart real quick. All right, we talked about gold. Let's talk about silver.
SLV, I can $18.17 is one price, and the low to boat price would be like $12.60. The all-time high for SLV is $27.98. There's not much upside in it, not much growth. I personally do not have gold in my portfolio. Never have, never will, just because the upside is very limited. 1 year return is 9.68%. 5 year is 47% return. All-time return is 65%.
This is a true story. In 2006, maybe 7, I believe myself, Shadi, and Jamal, we started a company together. And Greg, shout out to my brother Greg. We started this company, this real estate company called Money Through Investing. It was called MTI. And we were like all into investing. It was real estate, it was stock market. And we had this little book group that we read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And Robert Kiyosaki was coming to speak at a church in New York City.
That's dope.
And we were like, oh, we gotta go. And he spent 2 hours talking about investing in silver. 2 hours. So much so that I was like, I gotta go invest in silver. At the time, I think it was like $14.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it. I spent 2 hours listening to him talk about doing it, and I didn't do it. And so if you look at the chart, right? If you look at SLV's chart in 2006, it's right? It was like $14 was teetering around there.
Yep.
And then you saw the spike that it had in 2011 where it ran up to $46.
Yep.
And that's probably, I mean, think about that. He held it for 5
yeah.
years. He probably had millions of dollars in it, had a nice run, and then sold it. And obviously it pulled back, and now it's trading at $22. But sometimes, like, we'll get nervous. Like, we'll take the steps, but we won't take the next step. We'll take step one, but we won't go to step two.
Yeah.
And it's a valuable lesson. That's happened a couple of times in life. And it was like, a lot of people look at us and like, hey, you guys never made any mistakes in life? Yeah, we've taken step one without saying, all right, let me take the next step, which is step two, to say, hey, even if I bought, I mean, if you just take $15, I could have put $300 in there.
Yep.
Right. I would have had shares, and that would have appreciated over time. Who knows what that would look like? But these are the lessons that you learn, man. Like, yeah, I was into investing. Yeah, I took the steps to listen to somebody who I thought was a great mind in it. And yeah, they gave me the advice. No, I didn't execute.
Yeah.
The execution was lacking. So valuable lesson learned.
And sometimes commodities, like we talked about last week with JC, will have 5-6 years of doing nothing, and then they'll have 2 or 3 years of aggressive pushing. But if you look at, and some people are asking like, hey, where can I see where the returns are? Just type in the stock that you want to see. So in Google, SLV stock, go to max. It's up 65%. I mean, Meta's up damn near 100% in a quarter.
Ridiculous.
Apple's up 25% in a quarter. The all-time return thus far for SLV has been 65%. That's not that great of a return for since inception period, and 47% over the last 5 years. That's not a good return.
All right, we can't leave here without telling the people what they want to hear. Let's talk about Bitcoin. One of your favorite things to look at.
I love Bitcoin. One day I'm trying to get Peter Schiff on here. Like, I want to get him and one other person, maybe Michael Saylor, to come in and tell the truth about Bitcoin. But I like it at 13,154. I was waiting to see if it would break above that 50% retracement of its all-time high, which would be 36,269. It has not gotten there yet. As much as banks have fallen apart, because last year everyone was like, you don't know crypto, and this is the best use case. But as a result, more retail investors have not put in as much money into Bitcoin as they said that they would. Institutions haven't either. And although it's had a great bounce from 16,000 up to about 28, I thought Bitcoin would have been at 50,000 if banks fell apart. Going back to the decentralization part, there is no decentralized currencies that will not be infiltrated by the banks.
Does the current situation of banks actually show the more of a use case need for a space like Bitcoin?
Definitely a need. They will not allow it. So as soon as everyone starts saying, that's my point. As soon as people were like, hey, at scale, we're going to find a way to transact without each other. Okay, great. Y'all think y'all going to get away from paying this VIG? Great. You're going to have to send the money through the companies now, through FedNow. So the money will go through FedNow. They'll disperse it to Amazon and Walmart and Home Depot and Lowe's and OnlyFans and wherever else. They're going to make sure they get top line revenue. So if I'm saying this on Twitter and seeing this on Twitter and Instagram, you don't think that the Federal Reserve is not seeing it and say, okay, let's just undercut all that? They'll probably even change the name of FedNow and make it something more attractive. And I keep saying, if they give everyone $1,000 a quarter for the next 2 years in a recession to make people sign up for it, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to sign up.
Yeah. I mean, that's really like, it's a stipend. It's the universal basic income.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Slowly
but surely. All right. We can't touch Bitcoin without talking about Ethereum. Ethereum's at 1833 and 33 cents. What's your thoughts? Where we at with it?
I like Ethereum if it gets down to 1332.70. It's currently at 1834. It's too high for me to buy. Ethereum has been in this channel of being at between 2,000 and pretty much 1,100. I like it at 1332. 70 and some change if I'm going to buy it and load the boat. I do think there's a use case for it, but the government has found a way to come in and throttle all major activity from any outside currencies. And I keep saying, like, to make a currency or payment system go popular without them being involved is a legal act of war.
Mm.
and they're going to find a way to throttle it. Once again, Vitalik is Russian, and Bitcoin is owner creator supposedly is Japanese. The Russians are mining the most Bitcoin. Be careful. Be careful. You don't think that the federal government saw everybody wanted a digital something and they bought all those bullshit NFTs and they were not going to get involved in the game? This is a classic case of needing to be quiet in order for a project to work. So I do like Ethereum, man, Bitcoin.
Shout out to my brother Shadi. I saw people clapping it up. Can we just put that mic on the chair? Let's put the mic on the chair. Perfect. It looks kind of weird. All right. So let's do this. We had a great guest last week, and it's always good to be reflective of like while we were listening. And I know like we had a conversation about it, like, yo, that was incredible.
Went crazy. Shout out to JC.
So what was the biggest lesson you took away from last week's episode of Market Mondays?
The volatility always reverts to the mean. And I've known that before, but to hear him say it. So if anything goes up in a parabolic fashion, let me pick on AMC real quick. So like when AMC, and I went to go see Mario Brothers at an AMC theater, it was like 60 of us in there, was not packed. So AMC went from 191 down to 72. I mean, up to 72. Then it went from $72 and came back down to 11. If a stock takes off too fast, 5x growth, 8x growth in a year, normally it's going to come back down to what the average price is. That happened. And probably second lesson from there is just study every market. Like notice he went to gold futures.
I was going to go there.
Went Ethereum. Like study every market on earth. Russell 3000, Russell 2000, the FTSE, the German DAX. I'm not saying this for a hot take. I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm going to talk for Shadi since he's sick. All the people that do hot takes and podcasting are broke. I'm going to ask you again, since people want to talk podcasting shit, how many podcasts make $1 million a year or more?
I don't.
Black, white included. Most people are talking to you guys.
How many you think? What's the number you think though? Honestly,
maybe 20.
20?
Oh, like worldwide. Black, maybe 7. Maybe.
Okay. I could get probably 7.
Maybe.
So I would 10. I would max it at 10. Max at 10.
We can name some names.
We can max at 10.
Okay. So I say that's to say, as Rashad would say, a lot of people are talking to you to get your interest and attention to make them rich and not you. No. Study every market on earth if you want to edge in this market. And if I've made you money, please put yes in chat.
I think you brought up a good point about, and my biggest takeaway was the fluency.
Yeah.
Right. We talk about, I talked about this a lot, but like people always talk about financial literacy, and that's great, the understanding of finance and how it looks and how to read it. But the fluency is what impressed me when I was listening to JT talk. It was the way he was able to move from chart to chart. Like that wasn't preempted. We didn't tell him like, hey, we're going to talk about this today and make sure you had like.
I just told him bring charts.
That was it. Like the questions were just and he had the charts ready.
Yeah.
Right. That tells me how fluent he is. Like he speaks the language so well that he's prepared for anything at any time.
Yeah.
And so when he was going through the different industries, it was just like, wait, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then he went from a historical standpoint. It was like, yo, this is different. Like his level of expertise is admirable.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, yo, this is he's diving into this at a different level. And I was like, all right, the fluency in which he speaks about is incredible, but also the way that he said, yo, I don't even use fundamentals. Like I'm ballsy. I'm a firm believer. Like
that's ballsy.
I'm not suggesting anybody just say like F fundamentals. Like I'm not part of that game. I'm part of the game that's that, yo, let's use both. Right. And his thing is like, I guess at that level of proficiency and that level of fluency, one is not needed for him.
Even if you argue Bitcoin,
right? When
everyone was like Bitcoin was going to go to 100,000, great use case, limited supply. Why did it fall so far? I call the price of Bitcoin based off technicals, not
just technicals, right?
Yep. So I wouldn't go that far to say not to use them, but I do love that he has the chutzpah to say, I don't even look at fundamentals. Yeah, it's a great lesson to master what you know.
Yeah. And so the other part was this, and it was like, because as we were listening, for us, it was like, oh, this is advanced. But it was like, all right, in order for me to comprehend the language, sometimes it needs to be spoken to me. in its raw form.
Yep.
And I'm going to pick up on things, and then I'll become fluent in it.
Yeah.
And so I know we brought it back a little bit to say, all right, let's just slow down a little bit, because you never know. Somebody could be watching Market Mondays for this first time, and we don't want to make anybody feel alienated.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was people that were watching last week and they were like, oh, as he's talking more, I'm understanding.
I'm getting it.
I'm understanding.
Yeah, a lot of
more.
people who are.
And so that level of focus, I know it's like people like, hey, is it like all those things are questions, but like, are you focused enough to catch what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Are you learning? Are just like when we talked about IBM and we talked about Intel, are they able to innovate in real time? Are you able to understand and comprehend and critically think?
If not, go back and replay it
in real time, right? If that's happening, like I know people watch this and they take notes, that's incredible, because when I'm watching it, I'm writing notes, right? Like you see this iPad here every day, like there's a whole sheet, and Ian can attest to it. It's just nothing but notes. Like if I'm listening to somebody talk, I'm like, wait, let me add that to what I'm doing, because this is like the way he just did that. I got to figure out how I can add that to my arsenal. So like that level of focus is important from the audience, and is important from us, because it's like we don't know everything.
Yep.
And we don't even, I'm straight up, I don't even pretend to know everything, but I am willing to try to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I think those are my two biggest takeaways: the level of fluency he spoke with, but also the level of attention to detail and being focused in the present and being able to critically think in the present. But then also like, hey, if I didn't catch it, I can go play it back.
Go play it back 3 times.
Also, those things are important.
When he was like, hey, what moving average do you use?
That's the first thing I asked.
Yeah. 10 weeks. Remember I told you guys about 72-day moving average. Like and this is one thing I always want to say. Great traders and investors all see the same information and see the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You never get two conflicting people being like, Apple's good and this one's terrible. Like whether you pick Dan Ives, Kathy Wood, Elon Musk, everyone's going to agree Apple is amazing. So when you guys are watching like a technical episode like that, and it may go by really fast, it's to speed you up to the levels of which you need to be in real time during a recession. Because guess what? Your competitors are using that information to trade against you and invest against you as well. So sometimes you got to listen faster and then also use the replays to our advantage.
Very true.
I have to ask you though, that Lorenz Tate episode was amazing.
Yeah.
If y'all saw that, please put yes in chat.
Yeah.
What was the biggest takeaway that you had from interviewing him? And I came in on the tail end of it. I hate that I missed it. But when I saw it,
shout out to our brother Lorenz Tate. I think number one is his level of professionalism.
Yeah.
The way he pays attention to detail. His poise, right? Because when we're talking about his career, a lot of people would, they get sensitive when they talk about their career.
Yeah.
Right. Because it comes with peaks, and it comes with, lows in it, and peaks and valleys. But his poise when he talks about it, it didn't seem like he was harboring like negative feelings about it. It was like everything was a lesson for him. And even inside those, I guess, quote unquote lows, he was finding other ways. And that's why one of the questions we asked him was like, well, what are you doing when you're not on set, when you're not getting a gig? And very, very, very candidly, he was like, hey, I created a production company. I'm doing stuff with my brothers. We're still doing stuff in Chicago, but I'm also still acting at the same time.
Yeah.
He needs to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
So, just like I said, like we grew up in an era where we saw male actors, and I don't want to separate the UK actors or the African American, but also the African English actors, because a lot of them come from Ghana and Nigeria, and they grow up in the United Kingdom. But I don't want to create a division there. But at the time, we didn't really know too many of them.
Yeah.
And to see that era of actor is still being given roles and it's still being celebrated, I'm happy for that, man. It makes me proud, but it makes me proud to see that these brothers doing, like Daniel Ochoa from Get Out, and what my man Franklin Singh is the. I mean, those guys are incredible. Those guys are incredible. Yeah. But I mean, it's diaspora, right? There is no bridge there, and so to have a moment to celebrate and give flowers to somebody that we grew up on, like we literally grew up on Old Dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
To hear him talk and hear about how he's gracefully gone throughout his career, really no blemishes, right? You never heard anything crazy about Lorenz Tate, man. It was impressive.
Which is a tough thing to do,
especially in Hollywood, especially being like a leading man.
Yeah,
like there was a generation, and I mean that show they're in the chat right now, but like he's the guy.
Yeah,
like like Halle Berry was, like for us, like Lorenz Tate was the guy.
Yeah,
that's pause. You can't say he's one of them ones.
That's a compliment.
That's pause though. You can't say one. Let them say it.
Pause.
You can't say that. They gotta say that.
Got you.
No, but I mean, the fact that we got to celebrate him the way we did, and the fact that
We're gonna do this every show now. Since last week, I'm gonna find one pause-worthy. Sponsored by Bayer. If Ian's giving you a headache, get Trevor shot. Hey,
you can't.
Shout out to Lorenz Tate.
No, it was incredible, and again, like we got a chance to celebrate him and have him speak about the business side of acting because it's a very tough job.
Yeah,
and it's a very tough career, but he's made it a career and he's managed to navigate through Hollywood for over 25 years, man, which is no easy task, man. So shout out to Lorenz. That won't be the last time you'll see him with us, though. I got a good feeling about that.
You want to announce something real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about the debt ceiling. So the debt ceiling was raised, and then our good
I'll be trying, y'all.
Good old Janet Yellen has said that the ceiling is probably going to run out by June 1st. That was pretty quick. What's the deal with this?
This usually happens at the last minute they end up raising it, but I am really concerned about our country right now and how much debt we have. Hold on, let me go to the Google real quick. If I go to America's debt clock, we are currently at 31.7 trillion. I mean, it's $94,000 per citizen, $240,000 per taxpayer. And I don't have the answer to how to fix this. I don't. I'm sure as always they'll raise the ceiling because of course going into an election you can't have that kind of debt looming over you. It's not good for any candidate, but I'm just, when I look at the overall macro picture for us, I mean, like the money, the U.S. money supplies hit like a 13-week low.
Mm-hmm.
So like even when I'm going to places now, they're not taking cash. They have no coins available. Why? Coin shortage. What? Where are the coin stars? Like, it's amazing to see a transformation from just even 3 years ago, prior to COVID, how much cash was available versus how much is not available now. And then we keep going into debt while being in war. And we need new leadership across the board very fast. But I do feel like this is as everyone will call it, like a great reset in real time. And I don't think we'll be able to go back from here.
Yeah, I feel like that always happens, right?
Yeah.
It's a continuous theme. The debt ceiling is approaching. We got to raise it. It's uproar until like the last minute. It's raised, and it's like, oh, it's not enough. It's like the same theme over and over
again. Yeah,
nothing really changes though.
Yeah,
I guess we shall mount to the situation.
We shall, but they'll raise the ceiling. I mean, the debt's going to continue to get higher no matter what. And I talked about this earlier with FRC. So their debt to loan ratio was 111%. So they had more loans out than they did.
Ridiculous.
And say capital coming in. Our debt ratio, federal debt to GDP ratio in 2000 was 58%. Now it's 120. So our country's debt ratio is worse than FCR, First Republic Bank. But everyone, you conspiracy theorists, Deontay, shut up, my boy. You do not know. This is my thoughts, Ian, the Red Panda Rebellion. Oh, you do not know what you're talking about. I will be at Citadel and JP Morgan later this week and Meta. I'm telling you, what's the answer? To continue to invest, because even if, let's say, we come off the American dollar, you'll still have assets that you will be able to use in another currency. But this is scary for our debt ratio to be at. In 1960, it was at 52.9. 1980 was at 34%. We're at 120.35% debt to GDP ratio. So how much debt we have versus how much the country is making, we're upside down. America's a meme stock. Mike, clip that up.
And nobody's coming to save us.
At all.
In fact, there was, and we'll talk about this maybe next week, there was more countries that are urging their citizens not to use the US dollar. Yeah, we'll add that to the segment next week. This is a big week, though. It's a big week. Yes. And we kind of spoke about it before the show started, but the Fed is going to potentially raise rates.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on it? Well, let's give our number and we'll see what happens.
I think a quarter.
You think? I'm with you.
Yeah, I think a 0.25% raise.
A 0.25% raise. Yep. What are the impacts of that on the market? Let's say this week.
Some stocks will slide down. I mean, we'll talk about Apple later, but I think stocks will slide just a little bit. They keep saying that they want to destroy the job market, and we haven't gotten to where we need to be. I wish they would just rip the Band-Aid off and at one time get to the number where we need to get. I know that's not the best fiscal policy. I don't think Jerome is doing what he needs to do in order to get us there. I know it's a tough place. because you're in between a rock and a hard place. But I would rather him rip the Band-Aid off
Mhm.
and we recover from the numbers opposed to like gradually like dying from 1,000 cuts. But,
So a lot of the important things are happening. The Fed rate is happening this week, but I think we probably agree on this. The most important thing is some of these earnings.
yeah,
The number
absolutely.
one coming, and I'll go down the list and we'll get to the most important one, is on Thursday. And that is Apple.
Yes.
They are reporting their earnings. I mean, we saw what Microsoft did, and we
Yes.
spoke about it in detail earlier about the growth that they had. What are the expectations from your opinion of Apple in this quarter?
I think they'll beat both. I think they'll beat expectations. If they don't, we're in trouble. Like we were talking about a
Forget the Fed rate.
Oh man. If they do not beat earnings and Apple's revenue is not where it should be and does not beat expectations, it's over with. But I believe they'll beat. I'm still long Apple long term as everyone else should be, but I think they'll beat for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about how much is weighted in the S&P. I believe was it 8%?
Yeah.
8%, one company, 8%. And so when we're talking about the severity of this company doesn't perform well, we're talking about you're going to see a large pullback in the market. And so we always root for Apple because we root for the U.S. economy. Is there a price point? I know some people in the chat, they're like, hey, is there a price that we should get Apple at? Is there a price? I always tell people, what's today's price? Right? Because we're not looking at this like, hey, we're going to trade this. We're trying to keep this, like I said, 1,000 shares. This might be the company that I might have to go up to 5,000 shares.
Absolutely.
I just love it that much. And it's the greatest company that I've seen in my lifetime.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Hands down. So this might be one of my new tiers, and that's 5,000 shares. And hopefully somebody can go there with me. I encourage everybody to do that. But it means that much to the U.S. economy. And so a pullback is going to hurt.
Yeah.
More so than a Fed rate.
Absolutely. 161 is a good price to get in, or 165. I will say, and I tell everyone in Stock Club this as well. Apple and Microsoft are the two companies that I recommend you dollar cost average, and I don't recommend dollar cost averaging for anyone else. Like, so I would just buy them every month, but those are the two prices. The all-time high is 182.94. So it still gives you some room to hit that all-time high. But if those numbers are good, I mean, maybe in October, we should see them hit an all-time new high. And when those glasses come out,
big announcement in June 5th.
Can't wait. If they make it official and those VR goggles come out, Meta, y'all better rearrange them offices again. It's over with. And Quest Pro 2 is amazing. But going back to brand cachet, it's a luxury brand plus a bank. Once again, they get 30% of Uber Eats, Uber, Chipotle, DoorDash. Like, that alone should make you want to invest in Apple. But if they finally get this AR VR headset down,
good night,
and make people want it, it's over with.
Good night. Yeah, another integrated vertical.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think if they pull this off and announce this in about 4 years, that headset will pass the sales of iPad.
The iPad.
Yep.
It's a newer product. How many iPads are in existence? Maybe.
They have a smart way.
Will it outsell
cannibalizing?
Will it outsell the phone?
No, hell no. I don't think so.
Can't, right?
No, I can't.
Because the sales have gone down over the past
dramatically
couple of years.
Dramatically. But as AirPods are doing amazing.
Yep.
The wearables division, absolutely incredible. So if they get another strong play, this would be like if Durant, LeBron, Booker teamed up on one team. Like, if they add this wearable product and it works well and people want to wear it, they're going to gradually get better. It's game over.
All right, so that is on Thursday, but there are some other companies. You just brought up Uber. Uber is going to be reporting. I'll just say the companies, you say if you like them or not.
Okay.
Maybe give us 1 or 2 words if you'd like. AMD will be reporting. We just spoke about them.
AMD.
AMD we love. Uber will be reporting on Tuesday.
Terrible company.
Uber? You hate Uber?
Terrible company.
Shout out to my folks over there. Uber.
Shout out to all of you.
We know a few people over
love
there.
y'all.
Easy, man. We know some people.
Listen, what Charlamagne say? I can either be of the people or be of the industry. I'm gonna be of the people, but shout out to all of you there. Hey, I would love to have a meeting there. There are some things that we can do in order to increase the profit margin. I can either lie for the corporations or tell the truth to the people. What y'all want? Put it in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great homework assignment. Look how many quarters that Uber has been profitable since its inception.
Yes.
That was like yours. That was yours. This is probably why you're saying this.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a reflection of the employees or the staff or the
No,
management.
great
there.
people over there.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So Starbucks is going to be reporting as well on Tuesday.
I love Starbucks.
Love Starbucks.
One of the picks in Stock Club has done incredibly well. Them and McDonald's have been doing incredibly well in the recessions at 114.56 now. They should push higher. Maybe by summer, they should break that all-time high of
Yeah.
126.
Have you seen that meme going around about how I mean, we know McDonald's as the real estate play, but Starbucks is the real estate play as well.
I like them together.
Yeah.
Towers.
Yeah. It's an interesting meme that's been going around. Shout
And
out.
Howard being there has had an impact.
That's
That's why I keep saying Amazon needs to bring Bezos back. 2 years. I don't know if he can get him away from the little Latina he with, but if so, you get that boy in the office for 2 years, Amazon back off to the moon.
Got him in the chokehold.
Como se dice? Oh
Got
my
him in the
God.
chokehold out there.
Adios, Nios.
That boy gave up the business.
Boy.
Said, I'm done.
And almost got his soul taken away by Leo.
That's a fact. She looked him in his eyes.
Listen,
That's dangerous. If she looked,
thank God.
yeah. Eye contact is dangerous. There's like a rule to that. Like if there's 3 looks,
3?
yeah. First it's like, oh, who's that? Then the second one's like,
two a violation. I'm leaving on the second one.
yeah, you leaving on the
Baby,
second.
I'm leaving on the second one. So we just had a little conversation about the little Joe Budden Usher twirly ride. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
I
goes
asked her,
my-
Cardi tried to give me a lap dance. What you want me to do? She like, message your ass. Okay.
You can't get the lap dance? You couldn't get it? Damn.
Because you get it?
Yeah, probably.
Oh wow, you
Probably.
got a real one.
Yeah.
Put Danielle mine in the group text.
Hold on. Let me get the
Let's
camera going.
This is just entertainment.
This is-
These jokes are written by 85 South.
I love you, man.
Yes.
All right, let's get back to business. So Qualcomm, which is one of the semiconductors which we said is in the top 5, they're going to be reporting on Wednesday. Qualcomm is a vital, and when we talk about Apple, it's a vital semiconductor inside of a lot of businesses that Apple has, especially inside of the phone specifically, but in the Mac. So Qualcomm, I love. It's in my top. I'll probably put it in my top 4 semis.
Top 4, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. They're going to be reporting on Wednesday. Do you like or love?
I like. I
You
don't
love
love
it.
it. No, I don't love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
don't
I
love
can live with that.
Y'all hear by the tone of my voice how I feel about it.
Yeah, he doesn't love it.
Yeah,
All
I don't
right.
love it.
Thursday, we said Apple, but Shopify. Shopify will be reporting Block, your darling of yesteryear.
Used to be.
Yeah, of yesteryear.
Of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like once I break out with somebody, I'll be doing forever.
You be-
So beneath the whole
We're
pack
out.
of bags. Favorite quote.
And Coinbase will be reporting as well.
No, I don't feel good about Block or Coin. And also, like, main reason too, any crypto-based companies or payments companies are technically a competitor of FedNow. They are the market maker. I mean, Brian said he may start to go to the Bahamas, and
Yeah.
he's a very calm and collected CEO. He doesn't speak like that. I think the earnings and report for this quarter will be okay, but no, I'm not long Coinbase. And I think honestly, it's a travesty, like what they've done to his company, because it was the only financial company
For a while.
Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
providing
I think
innovation.
we talked about it a few weeks ago about the regulations that have probably like stalemated the company, right? To a
Absolutely.
point where it's like, if I can't do business here, I have to find somewhere else to do it.
Yeah,
But you put them, I mean, the advantage that you have here was that it was very easy to use. It was American based. It felt like
great user interface.
yeah, we can trust this, right?
Yeah.
But now he has to, his strong base of having this population now turns into he has to make it an international company,
Mhm.
and he's not the leader there.
I think any financial services company, if you're not planning to sell it to the Federal Reserve or Bank of America, JP Morgan, you're making a mistake. Even Stripe missed their moment to go public, which they would have been one of the darling IPOs. Now that the market conditions have tightened and people don't want as many IPOs, they won't get fair valuation. If you're not looking to with that end goal in mind to sell to one of those big players,
Yeah.
they're going to cut your legs from beneath you.
Yeah, Stripe. I saw this in Inc. magazine. Stripe had an evaluation of over 147 billion.
Yep.
It was on pace to be the largest evaluation in the history
Yep.
of the market,
And missed their moment.
and they may have missed a moment. I think SpaceX is now on pace to be
Yeah.
the largest
Largest one.
in the history.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody that has tuned in. Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Please.
They said prayers up for Shotty. Shotty, yeah, the prayers up for my brother. He is okay. He is probably getting some rest right now. So shout out to him.
Rest is needed.
Yeah, man, it's been an eventful Market Mondays.
Yes. The lesson for the quarter is no more basketball.
it's get some
I
rest.
need $1 million insurance policy anytime we play. Listen, I should have listened to Troy. I asked Troy 20 minutes before I tore my MCL. And he's gonna play. I'm not finna let them hurt me. I'm like, oh, okay. Next thing.
We got the footage. I showed you the footage, man.
Yeah,
Prayers up for Ian and his knee, man. He is a trooper. He came all the way out here on a torn MCL. Shotty had the flu game. But the show must go on, man. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And wait. It's May 1st. So I just want to give condolences and rest in peace to Gigi Bryant. Gigi Bryant today would have been her 17th birthday. We got the Kobe's up there tonight to celebrate her. My lady Mamacitas will be here in a few days. So rest in peace to her and Kobe and all the lives lost in that tragic. I mean,
crazy.
I was talking, I had the sweatshirt on today, and somebody asked me, like, oh, that's Korean. And she was like, how long has it been since he passed? And I'm like, yeah, it's almost 3.5 years.
That's crazy, man.
I still remember, like, January 26, 2020, like it was that. So condolences up to the family, like I said, and happy birthday in heaven to Gigi. And speaking of birthdays, Ian.
Yes.
Need a close up. Hold on, give me that.
This boy, an editor, cinematographer, director.
Let me get in my shot.
Father, investor.
Hold on. Let me get my shot. Speaking of birthdays, this week happens to be a very important week in birthdays in my family. The love of my life, my wife.
Shout out to the queen.
I want to say happy birthday to Danielle. You know, she is my better half. She completes me. She's the reason why I can flourish in the space that I am. So nothing is possible without her. I'd just like to say happy birthday, honey. I love you dearly. And everybody here loves you dearly. So if you'd like to just wish her happy birthday, feel free to. But we're going to have a great weekend, and we're going to have a great year. And a lot of it has to do with you. So happy birthday, dear. Love you. Back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, we're back. We're back.
The
Hard.
God, fellas, we got to tighten up. Shotty, when you feel better, watch the replay. You gotta tighten up. My man, I'm like, how you at Troy? You're like, oh, hey, man.
Yo, man. Nah,
family
seriously.
Life.
Family life is important, man. Rest is important. And balance is important. I know we live a very imbalanced life.
Yes.
But again, having a great partner makes that a lot easier. All jokes aside, that makes it a lot easier. Balancing work, balancing children, balancing marriage is a lot. But like I said, having a great partner makes that a lot easier. And makes it fruitful. It makes it enjoyable. It makes it fun. So yeah.
Speaking of amazing partnerships,
yes.
When Joe said that was the last time y'all were coming up there to do your promo run, how did you feel? I'm gonna get these talks in real quick. Shout out to Corey.
Hold on. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Joe. Everybody up there. Shout out to Joe, Corey, Mel, Ish, Ice, Queens, Parks, the whole team up there, man. They were gracious enough to have us. Anytime we get invited up there, we know we're gonna have a good time. A lot of stuff was said in gist. And I believe that was probably one of the
media trainer, or is just you?
That's interesting, right? They like, yo, you guys have to talk this way for sponsorships. I'm like, maybe they haven't been around us enough.
Yeah.
So that this is who we are every day. And it's probably one of the most unique things that we get to be ourselves every day and show up as ourselves every day. Like there's no act to this. I'm sure people have run up into us plenty of times outside of seeing us on YouTube. And they're like, yo, those are really the guys that I see on YouTube or where I see him on Instagram. So we take great pride in that. And Joe's a professional, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he likes to, get a little messy, but it's all done in love and in good jest. And like I said, when I was telling him the fact that he mentions us and he mentions you as well, and he mentions InvestFest so much, that is a form of love to me, right?
Absolutely.
He doesn't have to
do that.
Right. He doesn't have to do that. There's plenty of other things he could be saying in a negative space, but he never does, and gives us a lot of credit for the space, right? Like when we think about 5 years ago, there was no, like, how did we know these people? And God has blessed us to create a platform that is shining a light on so many brilliant people that have helped raise this financial literacy space and raise financial education for our community, man. So it's never going to be any hatred towards Joe. Ain't nothing but love, man. He's a pioneer. Right before there was any of this, there was Joe Budden podcast and others in the space. So he's a legend in the space. There's a bunch of people that influence the space so greatly that it'd be tough for me to say anything negative about them. And I wouldn't, man. Those are our guys. And hopefully we will see them all. I got a confirmation from 5 out of the 6.
I know Ice gonna be there. It's gonna be there. Melissa.
Mel gonna be
Park's
there.
gonna be there?
Park said he gonna pull up.
Oh, come on, my guy.
Queen said he gonna pull up, and
Okay.
we'll see. Joe, I got a good feeling Joe will pull up. So shout out to him.
Yeah, that's amazing. Always lead with love. That's the big lesson. And all the top brands throughout history. And of course, I know if you go read, biographies and stuff like that, there are some competitive parts and dog parts, but like in the modern era, like post 1980, all the brands that have won basically off focusing on the customer base, not evil tactics. So that's a good lesson for us to.
Yeah, we're gonna lead with love, lead with education. I mean, that's our message, right? It's education, it's uplifting. It's not built on controversy, it's not built on hate, it's not built on talking about other people. That gets us nowhere. That's where it's like, that's the difference between this and like, I guess, rap. Right. It's like, yo, I might have to do somebody to gain more traction. For us, it's just like, we just got to keep piling on the information, because if we deliver it consistently the way that we have, like, this isn't easy, right? And people like, you know what I mean? Like, we do this every single Monday. We put out an episode every Tuesday. We got other shows and other speaking things that we do. And we have families that we are raising and need us. And it's not easy, but the fact that we can continuously and consistently give out valuable information that can help impact people, that's the great separator, right? And if somebody wants to challenge that, isn't that like better for everyone?
There's no such thing as
Isn't that great? That's better for everyone. Like, yo, you have more information than me. Great, give it to the people. That helps everybody, right? And so when you look at it from a holistic standpoint, when you look at it from a community standpoint, that's how community grows, right? You have more information than me, good, give it to them. Make sure it's great. Right now, they get that from me. They get some information from you. They get some from over here. That only helps everyone. So like, if you got great information, share it. If you want to build your community, build it. I'm for it all, man. You're never going to hear me like criticize. And if you did try to diss me or us, you know me, you know my rules, man. You're not going to hear a reply from it.
Alone, man. That's my guy. You guys see me with Peter later this week. I'll be at Meta at some point this week. Check me out this week on Compound and Friends with Josh. I got to get that conversation with Josh and Shotty set up too.
Yeah, that's happening. That's happening. It's all love. It's all love. It's never nothing but love.
Yeah. Well, I love y'all. I hope you guys have had an amazing Monday. And I'm gonna go back through replay. Put your cash ups in real quick.
Yeah. They about to run up. They about to run them up. About to run it up. Yo, man, lead with love. Investfest.com for your tickets for Investfest. We got Diddy. We got Robert F. Smith. We got some more surprises. We got Steve Stout, Junior Bridgman, we got Jada, we got Joy Taylor, we got Milano, we got Ronnie Brown, we got Jermaine Dupri, we got Angie Martinez, we got Mike
Mike Novogratz name is nobody.
The Billy count
is growing.
It's
the
growing.
one he told me today, I'm not gonna say that.
Easy. It's growing. Make sure you go over to investfest.com, get your tickets. And bam, I'm not gonna forget everybody, if you're looking for the merch, head over to the EYL.com, hit the merch tab. Use the code BOGO. It's buy one, get one on selected items. And he texted me. Shout out to Ben. He texted me live, like, we're not doing this live. He said on hoodies, sweatshirts, tracksuits, crop tops, and beanies. Go over there now and check it out. And Market Mondays live. Next stop, London. Peacock Theater, June 18th. Make sure y'all get your tickets. We're going way up.
Cannot wait. It's going to be one that you will not forget. How to trade the London market. I'm going to actually give you a trading plan, the 22 rules for trading. And I need you to pull up some live trades like you did in Apollo, and I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah. I got a few.
We're going to put some things on
I got a few. It's time we put some things on the screen. That's a fact, man. Love is love, y'all. Be good to each other. Pray for each other. Take care of each other. And I'll take the prayers up for Shotty and deliver.
Yeah, we're going to check that right now.
Love is love. Peace, y'all.